I don't mind if you guys want to make the presentation. Okay, good. This is great that we've got so many people here. I don't like the fact, though, that I've got such a big room. This is really unnerving, but that's okay. We'll manage. Can I have somebody, one person from every team, to come up here? Don't be bashful. Okay, so let me see. Good. All right. I did load my presentations and this material on a shared Google Drive. If you want to pull that up, some of you have computers and you want to pull up the presentation or any of the materials, I'll just give you a couple minutes while I'm talking to type in that link. Okay? If you just type that link in, it'll take you to my Google Drive and you'll get the, or great idea, take a picture of it and I will leave that up for another couple weeks. So if you want to pull down the presentation, you can pull it down from there. Comcast will have a link for you so you can pull it down sometime, but usually it takes them about 2 or 3 weeks to do it. Okay? All right, now, how many veteran students do we have here? Oh, so you don't know anything about inspection, do you? Any ideas? Do you know what inspections are?
Yes.
Okay, what's an inspection?
A judge will come, robot inspector will come by and go over everything on the robot checklist to make sure your robot is in.
Oh, you know too much. What's an inspection? You're not a veteran. Either that or somebody told you all about it. What's an inspection?
Wait, I thought
Yeah,
that's
why
a
veteran member of
when
the.
you know what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Veteran is usually described as someone who's experienced, right?
That's right. That's right. Okay. How many non-veterans do we have? How many non-veterans do we have? So everybody's going through an inspection already. Is that correct? Okay. Now tell me what you don't like about it.
Depends on your
You see, in FMA, I'm the top inspector. Okay, I'm the top inspector, and I've been working for the past 5 years to try to improve the inspection process, but more than anything, to try to improve the attitude of the inspectors. Did I do a good job? I want to hear what this means.
Mostly.
It's still dependent on the inspector that you get.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It really is.
no, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And what is it about an inspector that you don't like or that you have trouble with? Yeah.
Sometimes they're I don't know how it's.
This is Ben Salem. They're very outspoken. They're owls.
I guess they're hard to work with. I guess.
Okay.
You'll ask them something and they won't give you like a clear response. I guess.
Ooh.
And they're not like super responsive to what like you're saying. I guess.
I'm not liking this. No. No, seriously. This is what I need to know. Okay.
Yeah.
So keep on going. I'm not inspecting it, Ben Salem, so don't worry about it.
It's just we've had a couple. It seems like they don't.
I'm sorry. Can everybody hear her?
Yeah.
I forgot I've got another microphone here. And actually, I wasn't going to do question and answer in the beginning, but I like this. I got 2 mics now. Woo. Do I sound better with 2 mics? Here you go.
Okay.
Now, everybody listen to her, because if you run into this kind of a problem, and this is part of the beginning of the presentation, if you run into a problem where you're just uncomfortable with the inspector, you didn't do anything wrong, the inspector didn't do anything wrong, but you're a little bit uncomfortable, and if you can vocalize why you're uncomfortable, you have two recourses. The first recourse, which is a hard one, is to say to the inspector, I'm uncomfortable, okay? But you have to explain it to them, okay? The second recourse is to come and see me. Now, this is who I am. I am the inspector, okay? And more so, that's just the inspector. Usually I have a microphone on a stand in front of me with my guitar on my shoulder. Okay, this is the lead inspector, okay? There is a lead inspector at every competition. Actually, I always assign a lead inspector as the lead inspector, and then I have another lead inspector that is somebody trained to be a lead inspector, at least one extra one at every competition. The intent for me, having 2 people that are trained as lead inspectors, is to have the lead inspector do his or her job. We do have some women that are phenomenal, better than the guys, but to do their job to administer and oversee the inspections. Their other responsibility is to be the person you go to if you don't like what's happening, okay? We try to train our inspectors to accept the fact that they may not come across well, okay? They just may not, okay? I know I hadn't when I first started. I was a parent. What do parents do? They tell you what to do and what not to do, right? So your recourse is to come and see the guy or girl that's got this on, okay? That's going to be your lead inspector. Don't be uncomfortable coming to us. Our training over the past 3 years at First Headquarters has been focused on you are there for one and only one reason: to get the teams on the field in a fully safe capacity. It's that fully safe capacity that requires us to follow rules, okay? But that's our job. And I train the lead inspectors when I come back from headquarters on that and anything else that came up because of last year's issues or something that with the new competition. And then it's that second lead inspector that has to train the inspectors that show up to volunteer. And there's the crux of the matter. A lot of times we'll get people that have never inspected before. And some of them were on teams. And it doesn't happen too much anymore, but once in a while they say, okay, I'm going to do the same thing the guy did to me when I was on a team. And there may be a little bit of that attitude, okay? We really can't completely train as a veteran inspector people that show up that day. So keep that in mind, okay? Good. Any other problems or issues that you've had? Come on, speak up now. It's your only chance. Yeah. I can't get used to this.
Like sometimes whenever you have an inspector come by, you're still unpacking and like say you took off some parts of the robot just for like traveling. So you have to set up like all the electrical stuff and everything while he's staring at you like.
Like this, like, are you ready yet?
Mhm.
Are you ready yet? I was here 5 minutes ago. Are you ready yet? That's me. Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that. One of the things that we are, as inspectors, are most sensitive to is to start the inspection. Okay? Some teams, I had a team that was a problem team last year. They didn't get fully inspected until Sunday. And the reason they didn't get fully inspected is because the mentor kept on telling us, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. And I was just too nice a guy. And I'll tell you why I was too nice a guy. Sunday morning came by. Oh, I'm sorry, we inspected him right before we turned out the lights Saturday night. Because 5 minutes before that, he told us, I'm ready. Okay? And Sunday morning, he came to me and said, okay, are you going to find something wrong with my robot now? That's why I was sorry that I even went with him. Okay. And as it turned out, he was gaming the system. When we went into quals check, that robot was 10 pounds overweight. So that's the only story I have like that. But please understand, our job is to get you started in inspection. And I'll take note of what you said, because as soon as the teams come in, I walk around and I send the inspectors out to ask you if you're ready. And if they ask you the wrong way, you're not going to feel good about it, right? So, and I already today, I did get a request not to bring a particular inspector on a particular competition, which is okay, because I can talk to that inspector or other inspectors before we actually get started in the season and say, look, I love you, you do a great job, but yeah, turn a couple people off. Be careful, okay? Do you at least get from this conversation that we are not police? Okay, we're really not. And if it seems like they're police because of the way you were interpreting it or the way this inspector is, go see the LRI. There's one more step you can take. If you don't like my decision, you can ask me to call Big Al. Big Al is a first employee, and he is the inspector's inspector, okay? And his word is final. Last year, was it last year? Yeah, last year I had a team, it was a young team, and they did some things that were just wrong. I mean, really broke the rules. And I ended up going to the head, going throughout to the head of first, and had to get something adjudicated with them. Okay, so it's not a problem. If you're concerned, please come to the LRI. And if you don't like the way I'm explaining an issue, then I don't have any problem passing it up to first and saying, look, this team's reading the rule this way. I'm reading the rule this way. Can you help me adjudicate this? Okay? All right. One thing about the rules, because I can skip over it in here. Be honest with me, please. How many people have really read the robot rules in the manual? No, how many? Be honest with me. Okay. A mentor. Okay. All right. Anybody else? It's okay. I'm not going to put you on a report. Yeah? Have you?
At the beginning of each season, I print out the manual and I make a binder out of it. And I just
Hey, if you print it out, you saw the rules. I got it. You got to read them, though. Anybody else? Yeah, great. Thank you. But there is one thing you need to know about the rules, and I'm jumping through this is really great. I got 60 slides up here, and there's no way I'm going to get through 60 slides in 45 minutes. Okay, so in the manual, the competition manual, there's a section. It's usually section 7, either 5 or 7. It's called robot. Okay, it's the robot rules. That is the rules for building the robot. Okay. Now, in those rules, and you'll see this in all of the rule sections. There are green. The rule is written in green font, and there's usually an asterisk, and there's going to be an R number, R105, R112. Okay, guys, that is the rule. Now, there are also blue boxes. The blue boxes try to give you a sense of what the rule means. The blue box is not the rule. Usually when there is a question or disagreement with a team or a mentor, and we get it all the time, it's because they're reading the blue box and saying, well, we're kind of doing what that blue box says, but they're not meeting the rule. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Interpret the rule to your advantage, but try to understand what the rule is, because if you do go to your first competition and you've misinterpreted the rule, then you may have an issue that you're going to have to fix. Okay. But don't fall into the common habit of reading the blue box and saying, well, it kind of says what I'm doing is correct. That's not what the blue box is. Okay, good. All right, I'm Tom Galley. Okay, I've been involved in FIRST for 17 years. I was the head mentor for Team 2607. I've been an inspector, I guess, for about 10 years. And for about the past 7 years, I've been the lead, and that is the senior lead inspector for FMA. And they asked me to do again this year, so I said yes. Okay, I keep on asking them, please don't ask me. Please don't ask me. But it's fun. Okay. Now, I do want to give credit to Howard Cohen, who's an FMA veteran, and who also is one of my LRIs. Team 2607 and 1403, because I did borrow some material from those teams and from that person. So now, I am not going to go through all 60 slides, okay? There are roles. Go ahead, question?
Just to let you know, your link did not work. It's a 404 error.
Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Just,
Yeah, I opened it up to anybody that had the link, but I'll try it again.
okay.
I'm not good with Google.
Justin tried, the link wasn't working for us.
Okay, we'll play around with it. We'll play around with it.
FYI, just so that you know.
Thank you.
You don't have access and can't get it later.
Okay. Okay, so anyway, I'll get it to you somehow. That's me in my LRI garb, okay? And I'm also bespeckled there. One of the other LRIs wanted to bespeckle me. So there are many people that are involved with the inspection, but the inspectors, the robot inspectors, are the ones that actually come out. You've got the lead robot inspector, who's more of an administrator. I never anymore get to do inspections. What do you think I actually do when it comes to inspections? What do you think my primary job is?
Solve disputes.
Exactly. Or solving disputes, or helping new RIs interpret the rules properly. That's really what it is. We also often have an inspection manager, and that's somebody that sits at the inspection table and just coordinates the inspections. That's my wife for when I'm an LRI. She knows nothing about the rules. nothing about how to build a robot, but she was a teacher for 50 years. She knows how to organize things, and that's what their job is, okay? And then you also have the FTA. I'm sure you all know who the FTA is. It turns out people think that the event manager is the last word at a competition. The FTA is the last word at a competition. They are the most senior person at a competition. Okay, if there are any issues that need to be fully adjudicated, they should go to the FTA, because the FTA has a direct line to the management at first. Okay, and then you have the head referee. Now, I'm not going to explain how they interact in the inspections. That's what the top of this blue paper is, okay? It explains what each person's role is and how they play in it, okay? Good? And I've already said what I have over here in kind of brownish print. I'm going to tell you things that you should know, or things you should know and do to prepare for an inspection. It's only like 2 or 3 slides, and it's very general. First of all, read the book, okay? Or at least have 2 students, not just this, don't rely on your mentors. They've got enough to do. At least 2 students get familiar with the robot construction rules, okay? Really need to know what they say. You don't have to be able to memorize them, but you have to be able to recognize when in your build you're doing something that just may not pass, okay? Also, there may be changes to the rules. Rules are updated usually weekly, and rules are addressed. Questions are officially submitted on rules, and this is mostly during the build season to the Q&A. Okay, I think you all know what the Q&A is, right? If not, your senior mentor, your senior mentor knows what that is. So if during the build season you have a question about how to interpret a rule, and this happens a lot, teams will say, well, this rule says this, and I want to do this. Does that rule exclude me from doing such a thing? And we get a lot of questions like that, okay? And if in fact more clarification is needed or a rule has to be changed, then Q&A will provide an answer to a question on that rule, and then the rule will be changed, okay? And if Q&A says, yes, you're correct, you should be able to do this, then the Q&A is kind of your initial backup on a rule change, okay? Good. And then, let me see. It is, most teams have already or have transitioned to organizations that are student-run, student-driven, okay? If your team hasn't done that, it will soon, because that's just today's culture, okay? And this is your team. When I ran 2607, I never thought it was my team. I really never did. So anyway, it is your responsibility. If you question a rule, okay, it is your responsibility to show the inspector why you're questioning it, okay? Which means you should be able to pull up the rule and say, this is why I think this is allowed. Now, I'm not saying that you can't question a rule just because you don't, question an issue just because you can't remember the rule. Bring it up, okay? Just bring it up. And a lot of inspectors, especially the lead inspectors, will actually go back to the inspection table and open up the rule book and find a rule that addresses your particular issue, okay? But it is your responsibility to know why you're asking the question. And to your point, sir, earlier, we want to start the inspection. If you, like this one team that I ran into last year, and that will never happen again, if you want to actually modify your robot, let us start the inspection. Don't hold us off until the last possible minute, okay? Let us start the inspection. If you're just, and a lot of teams are just so frazzled trying to get their robot up and running, we understand that. But try to be patient with us too. We want to get you inspected. You can go in the practice queue without an inspection, okay? You can go into the practice queue without the inspection sticker, without being fully inspected. What you can't do is go in outside of your assigned time into the queue. I don't know if I made that clear. You're going to have an assigned time for your practice match, correct? Yeah, you're going to have an assigned slot. If you want to go in anytime other than the assigned slot, you would go into the inspection queue. You can't go into not the inspection queue, the practice match queue, okay? You can't go into a practice match from the queue that if you're not inspected, okay? One other thing while I'm thinking about and talking about this, if you have a serious issue, like for instance, your arm is uncontrollable and you're having trouble with your software, and you are inspected with the exception of getting that arm under control, I will allow you to go into one of your matches, okay? I can and I will. I always have to check with the FTA, but I will allow you to go onto the field into a match if that arm is not operating properly. But what am I going to ask you to do?
Not use the arm.
Basically, pull the fuses or disable the pneumatics for the arm and tie it in place, okay? And let's face it, your first competition, defense works, okay? Defense works. Well, this last one, defense wasn't that important, okay? But usually defense works really good, all right? So if you're really having problems, and we'll know it, Friday night, we have a list of the teams that have serious problems in getting inspected, and we will know, where you sit in that process, and we will try to find help for you, okay? But don't be worried that you have to miss one of your early matches because a mechanism isn't working properly, okay? I have, and this is almost a no-no, I have allowed teams going in that had bumper issues, okay, because they were minor, okay? That's the biggest problem every year is bumpers, all right? If you have an issue, and it looks like you're not going to make your practice match, or you're not going to make a qualification match, then go to the inspection table and ask for the LRI and tell them what your situation is. Ask for the LRI, either he or she, to take a look at it. And then that LRI is required to go talk to the FTA, tell the FTA, we want to put this on the field. And I've never met an FTA that won't agree with what I want to do. Okay? All right. So, please, when the inspector comes around, if you can, have a flashlight and a flashlight, a measuring tape, and also a multimeter, okay? When I do inspections, and I train the inspectors to do this, we don't touch your robot, okay? If we need a perimeter measured, we'll ask you to measure it. I might help you hold the tape in place, okay? If you have a problem with your pneumatics, I will show you what to do, or I will ask you to demonstrate it. And with pneumatics, especially, once in a while, I say, do you want me to show you what to do? Okay. But we don't want to put our hands in your robot.
So you're saying they should never touch our robot?
They have always touched our robot.
We've never had an inspection where the inspector has
They-
not done the inspection and done all the.
They have
Stuff
never
themselves.
asked us to do it.
Okay. I'll try to fix that.
That's why I'm just clarifying, like.
No. I mean, once again, if it's a veteran RI or an LRI, I'd be very disappointed in them. Okay, very
I'm
disappointed.
guessing it hasn't been.
Well, it hasn't been. Hopefully it hasn't been. But like I said, the new LRIs, a lot of them are veteran team members, and they can't help but put their hands into the robot. But we do our best, okay? And if that happens,
I just wanted to make sure I heard you right. Because
no, you heard me right.
Every inspection I've had, they have always done it. They've never asked.
we
us
just
to do
stand back, let them do the inspection, and then they said, you're good to go. Can you sign here?
it. They would just ask for a multimeter or a tape measure or something, but they would never make us do it.
If you're uncomfortable, if that happens and you're uncomfortable with it, go see the LRI. Okay?
I mean, we didn't know any better, so
You
we're
didn't-
like, okay.
Well,
fine.
there's no rule that says don't put your hands in the robot. I mean, there's no rule that says that. It's just general, what do we call that word?
Courtesy.
Courtesy and cooperation. It's just general courtesy and cooperation. That's not my device. And when the way I try to train inspectors, I say, look, you move a wire out of place. You just bought that robot, and that's the real reason for it. On occasion, most teams a lot of teams that use pneumatics don't know how to set the Nason valve. Okay. And I'll try to help students do that, show them what to do. And eventually I'll say, do you want me to show you? And I'll put my hands in the robot. The other reason I'll put my hand in the robot is if I'm in the pit, the robot gets out of control, I'll turn off the main breaker. Okay, it's safety things. Okay, all right. Please, I've been to Bound Sound almost every single year. Usually my team played there, so I didn't inspect. And I'll have to take a look at my schedule. I don't think I've set up for, but I know Paul Stable is usually the guy that does it, and I will tell him, make sure you train your inspectors. You're doing a lousy job. I won't say it that way. Okay. But thank you for that. All right. I already went over this. The green print, the conflict resolution, gracious professionalism, and personnel and safety, equipment safety are paramount. At the end, I'm going to hit some safety things, okay? Inspections checklist. I gave everybody a copy of last year's inspection checklist. It will be different this year. The 6 sections will not be different, but the rule numbers, the R numbers, will probably be different, okay? And I'm not going to go through that. I just want you to know, week 3, you should take a look at this and take a quick look at what you've built so far. It's just a recommendation. My team never did it, but I was always there looking over it, okay? You really should take a look at this inspection list. And it's hard to find, but if you're in FRC, to go onto the website, to page down the tab to the different competitions, go to FRC. When you go to FRC, go to season materials, okay? And in season materials, that's where you're going to find your manual, and you're also going to look for it, but there's also a link for the inspection checklist, okay? Do your own inspection at least in week 4 or 5, and please weigh and measure your bot. Last year, we had at least, I know one bot that was crazy. They were 20 pounds overweight, and they were a veteran team. So please don't do that to yourself. Now, the inspection process. I'm not really going to walk through this, the inspection process. It's very well described here, in the blue, on the blue. Okay, that's that matrix there. That's the inspection process. This is the way we typically describe the inspection process, but I like this matrix. So there are basically 6 or 7 steps. Initial, you've got to check in. You have to sign in at the competition. We're not supposed to start inspections until you've signed in, okay? We don't always follow that rule, all right, because we kind of want to get started. You're going to get weighed. Usually what we do is we tell teams, can we get you to the weigh-in station, the inspection station? And that's where some of the conflict that we mentioned over here comes from. If you have stuff that you're putting on the robot, you intend to put it on, there's no question about the fact that you're going to put it on, it's just that you needed time to put it on. Stick it on the robot and bring yourself up to get weighed. Please, okay? Please. Don't wait until you have fully assembled your robot to come in and get weighed, all right? Weighing is the very first step of the inspection process. And the last thing you want to do is fully assemble your robot and find out you're 3 pounds over, okay? So please, please, please work with us and help us to get your inspection process started. Once you get weighed, then you will be placed in the inspection queue, okay? And if you come in and weigh and you say, we've got a lot of assembly to do, we'll make a note of that and we won't put you next in the queue. But you go into the queue once you've been weighed, okay? And then there are a couple other things that we do either at that point or we may do in the, actually in your pit. Safety check, you've all gone through that. I won't go over that. You can be partially inspected. We get a lot of robots that are partially inspected. Once we fully inspect it, then we give you a sticker and we initial the sticker. That's going to be your qualification sticker. You can go into your qualification rounds with that. And then Sunday morning, in FMA, we do this all the time. Every single bot gets re-inspected for finals. Okay, every single robot gets re-inspected because we don't know how deep the picks are going to be. It's not unusual to have picks go into the 30s. Yeah.
Are there other districts that don't re-inspect before qualifications?
It's not a first rule to re-inspect.
Oh.
It's just not. I haven't been to champs in a couple years, but when you've got 100 bots on the field, it's kind of hard to get through all of them. Okay. So I've been doing that as long as I've been doing this. I've been doing this as long as you've been a team. Okay. So, and whenever I go outside the district into other districts or other regions, that's the way I do it. Okay. It's not required. All right. Yes. They're yours. They're your teams. And I've got extras here. I made 15. So if you want extras, you can grab them. Okay. I made them so you can actually, so they won't fall apart, you know, and you can keep them around the lab. All right. Now, we have our playoff. Now, our re-inspection Sunday morning. Once in a while, we'll start at Saturday night, but usually Sunday morning. The re-inspection, you bring your robot over to the inspection station after your last qualification match. Okay, you leave the bumpers on and take the battery out. We weigh your robot with the bumpers on. If you're overweight, we'll ask you why. Okay, and if you're significant, and if you're overweight, we'll subtract off the weight that we had for your bumpers. And if your actual bot is overweight, we'll ask you why, and then we'll give you some suggestions as to how you can get that weight down. Okay? If you're underweight, significantly underweight, we also say, okay, what major mods did you do to the robot? Because we need to take a look at those modifications and make sure that they don't break any rules. And if you're not overweight, you're not underweight, or if we've adjudicated any change in weight, you're done. You get initial and you're done. That is what the reinspection involves. It's not complicated at all, okay? Then we have these other two categories in here, reinspection required because something was flagged, and then recheck is suggested because something was flagged. If you make any change on your robot except for software, if you intend to make any change on your robot, come and see the LRI. Tell them what you're going to do, okay? And if it's a simple thing like taking something off, we'll say you don't have to be reinspected. We won't flag you, okay? If it looks like you're going to add something and that something sits within the limit of the weight, we'll typically tell you, go and make the change and bring it back for us to take a look at it, okay? You don't want to go into final inspection like that one team did last year and be caught for being overweight or having a problem, okay? And then the other thing is the FTA or the head ref can flag an issue. There are robot rules that can only be evaluated on the field. Usually it's extensions and heights can only be evaluated on the field. And it's the responsibility of the referees to see that and tell the inspectors to go check that particular robot. Okay, good. Am I telling you guys stuff that's useful or am I boring you? I'm boring you? Thanks a lot. I said, am I boring you? And he says like this.
I said it's the useful.
Okay, so let me see. All right. The Rules Committee is currently working on the rules. Okay, so any rules that I address today might be changed. I can almost guarantee you the number is going to be changed, but they might be changed, they might be modified. This is just to give you an idea of how we interpret the rules and what kind of rules we have in place for most competitions for every year, okay? So what I'm going over, you can't quote these and say, oh, no, you know, during a competition, say, I saw this rule. No, that was last year's rule, okay? I haven't gotten any indication so far that there are going to be any major change to any rules, but usually I don't find out until the second week in January when I go to headquarters to be trained, okay? And if there's something really, really big, they usually put it out on a blast, and I will usually send it out as well. Okay, couple things. General robot rules and considerations. Our scales are good plus or minus 0.1 pound, okay? So if you're 0.1 pound over, we'll probably let you go, okay? We'll probably let you go. But you have to recognize that 125 pounds, that's your limit, okay? That is your limit for the robot. Good? Last year, I can't tell you what it's going to be this year, but it probably will be the same. As of 2 years ago, we put this rule in place where you can have alternative mechanisms. Some teams called this thing that they put on the back of their robot a flicker, you know, just an appendage that picked up a cube and just went into the community and threw it. They called it a flicker, okay? A lot of robots in their first competition this year had operating arms, but not necessarily an alternative on the back end of the robot. So some teams had alternate arms or alternate grabbing mechanisms, okay? That's called an alternate mechanism. If you bring a mechanism to a competition that you intend to switch out or to add, then that particular mechanism also has to be weighed, and the combined weight of your robot and that mechanism cannot exceed 150 pounds. That's something that a lot of teams didn't quite understand. Now, I've got 5 minutes left, so obviously I'm not going to get through the other 55 slides, okay? But seriously, the slides are here for you and for you to peruse. Let me see, where are we over here? Oh, I hit something I didn't want to hit. Okay. Size limits, know how to measure your frame, okay? If you have a weird dimensional frame that has a lot of empty spots, those empty spots are part of your frame, okay? They're part of your frame. You take a string, you wrap it around your robot, and that where that string touches the robot around, that is your frame. This year it was 120 inches. It has been that for a little while. Please, 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 please do not leave your bumpers to the last thing. Bumpers are always our biggest problem, either in design, in fabrication, and especially in mounting. If your bumper mounts, allow your bumpers bend and allow your bumpers to come out of the bumper zone, you got a problem, okay? Make sure you have good, solid bumper mounts. There are a variety of different types of bumpers. I won't go into that. There are a variety of different kinds of bumpers. Please look at the bumper manual. There's a link in here. And then, let me see. Noodle diameter is going to be a problem. Our required noodle diameter is nominally 2.5 inches. And now the noodle manufacturers do not give you dimensions on it. You have to measure them. And it's not unusual to find 2-inch diameter. So be careful with that, and also look at what we require. And one last thing, what safety issues do you have to think of in your pits? And I'm going to leave it at that. What safety issues? You know, the one that I'm concerned about this year, and I've already gotten a lot of grief about it, hair. At Girl Power, we had a girl that had dregs down to her back of her knees, and she was in the robot. And every time she bent over to pick up the robot, her hair was in the robot. I could not get her or her mentors to do anything about it, okay? And then when I brought it up to first, everybody agreed except for one person said, that's an individual person's personality. You can't do anything about it. Guys and girls, please have ties. And if you really do have dregs that go down to the bottom of your thighs, stick them in your jersey. Okay? Yeah.
We keep hair ties like.
We do too. Yeah, we do too. We call it the girls' box, but now it's got to be everybody's box. Okay.
Wire ties work for that too. I'm just saying.
I gave them our ties. I gave them wire ties, and they wouldn't wear it. So be careful. The other thing is, you cannot grind in your pit, and you cannot have live flames in your pit. And with that, I say goodbye. If you have any questions, I'm T. Galley at midatlanticrobotics.org. You can email me with any questions anytime. Bye, guys.
Look at this.
There's a beat.